Hey, welcome or welcome back. If you thought that last week's video about games that commercially failed and then became beloved titles was the last, you were mistaken. I've prepared a few more games I want to cover today, so, well, let's! Today we're gonna start with a gritty sci-fi action-adventure, Bioforge. You awaken in a cell as a cyborg with no memory on a remote moon base controlled by a mad scientist, and you have to piece together your past and fight through countless enemies to escape. Bioforge raises more questions than it answers, but it's still a memorable experience worth trying out. Bioforge felt kinda like starring in a dark 90s sci-fi movie. Its motion-captured animation, multiple camera angles and a claustrophobic moon base set the stage for a truly cinematic escape. Also, tank controls. You know, personally, I hate them, but some of you seem to find them just fine. Bioforge was a movie-like experience with a strong focus on narrative and puzzle solving that was incredibly immersive. Before there was Heroes of Might and Magic, life was boring. Well, there was also its granddaddy King's Bounty, but hardly anyone remembers it. In King's Bounty, you're a hero serving King Maximus, tasked with finding the Scepter of Order before the forces of Chaos do. It felt like a proto-Heroes game, and in many ways, it was exactly that. Why was King's Bounty a legend though? Because its 2008 sequel said so with its title. It's a bad joke, I know, but that's what you signed up for by watching my videos. Also, if you're not subscribed, it would be cool if you did. Anyway, King's Bounty pioneered the formula of a hero leading an army of fantasy creatures across a world map and engaging in tactical turn-based combat. It blended RPG-style exploration with strategic battles in a way that was completely new, but also addictive. And it laid the groundwork for the entire Heroes subgenre.
Known as either fat kid or chubby to classmates and teachers alike.
Let's lighten the mood a little, because not all great games were dark, gritty or psychological horrors. The Adventures of WiIly Beamish was a charming point-and-clicker in which you play as a 9-year-old WiIly who's trying to get to the National Nintari Championship, yeah, a parody of Nintendo, save his town from a sinister corporate scheme and avoid being sent to military school. You know, your everyday teenage life in the early 90s.
He is an aging has. 6th grade students use these lockers to store coats, books.
WiIly's game had a delightful, hand-drawn cartoon art style and a genuinely funny, relatable story. Well, other than that sinister corporation, cause I can't imagine many of us having to deal with something of that magnitude. It stood out by focusing on the hilarious problems of being a kid rather than saving the world. It was a pure Saturday morning cartoon goodness in a video game form. With 1996's Eradicator, we're getting back into action. It's a unique first-person shooter with a cool twist. An unknown alien force has reactivated their base on the planet Loxia, and you're sent in to clean house as one of 3 unique characters. You're the Eradicator, which is a pretty cool job title, I must add. Way better than administrative clerk or junior salesperson, or even personal insurance broker. It's more epic, is what I'm saying here. What was Eradicator's hook that got us playing? Well, the ability to switch between first-person and third-person perspectives on the fly was a huge deal. It also had a highly destructible environment. You could blow up barrels, hack switches and launch remote bombs to solve puzzles or find secrets. And overall, it was a thinking man's shooter that encouraged experimentation rather than just never letting go of the trigger. Cybermage Darklight Awakening is another ambitious FPS RPG hybrid. You're a hero who gains superpowers after a crystal gets embedded in your forehead, And using your newly acquired psionic powers, you have to fight your way through a dystopian cyberpunk city controlled by powerful corporations that have replaced the government. Well, you're also using guns, let's not forget about guns. There's quite a few of them actually.
Remain where you are.
What made Cybermage fun was how packed with features it was. You had guns, which we've kinda established already, also magic-like powers, also not a discovery at this point in the video, and even vehicles to drive. And that I did not mention before. The world was huge and interactive, making it feel like a predecessor to games like Deus Ex. Not as open perhaps, but a good blueprint. It was complex and maybe a bit overwhelming, which actually might explain the poor sales, but it was definitely incredibly innovative.
Get ready, fight!
Let's talk about FX Fighter, a 3D versus fighting game that tried to take on arcade giants on PC. And while it naturally failed to beat them, it was still a rather interesting release. It featured a roster of bizarre alien fighters from different planets, each with their own unique moves and arenas. Truth be told, personally I was never a fan, but it gained a small cult following. So what made FX Fighter special? Well, for a DOS-based 3D fighter, the graphics were rather impressive. The character designs were creative and the environments were rendered in beautiful SVGA, provided your system could handle its digital weight. It was a bold attempt to bring the 3D fighting experience to home computers, and for that, it deserves a lot of credit. Not from me, I'm sure we've established that already, even before in another video, but from most who found it to be pretty cool. I've said it last month in another video, I'll say it today, and even 1000 more times if I have to, but Albion is an overlooked gem worth experiencing. It's a truly massive fantasy RPG in which you're a pilot of an exploration ship sent to scout planet Albion for resources. The mission goes wrong, as they tend to do to kick off a good story, and you crash land on the surface. As it turns out, it's not a desert wasteland but a vibrant world teeming with life and magic. Albion's seamless blend of different gameplay styles and deep thought-provoking plot was what made it an epic release. It had a 3D first-person movement for dungeons, a 2D top-down view for the overworld, and tactical turn-based combat. The sheer depth of the world, its lore and its engaging story made it a grand adventure that many sadly missed. So did you, so go and fix it. From the legendary Bullfrog Productions, responsible for such hits as Theme Park and Team Hospital, we have Hi-Octane, a game that has virtually nothing to do with the earlier two, and makes me question why I've even mentioned them. It's a fast-paced futuristic combat racing game and a lot of fun. Pick a vehicle, strap in, and blow your rivals off tracks set in various wild landscapes. Hi-Octane was pure, unadulterated speed and chaos, and while it was often compared to Wipeout, it had its own frantic charm with huge, open-ended tracks, multiple routes and a relentless focus on combat. It was a simple, addictive arcade fun that was perfect for quick blast of action. Time to dip your toe once again in a cyberpunk-esque paddle with Rise of the Dragon. It's an adventure game with a distinct Blade Runner vibe. You play as William Blade Hunter, a private eye in dystopian 2053 Los Angeles, trying to solve a gruesome murder that leads to a massive conspiracy. And if all of that doesn't sound interesting to you, because to me it sure does, then maybe you're not into cyberpunk. Nothing wrong with that, just an observation and maybe a lesson to learn about yourself. I can already see someone writing a long and winded comment explaining why cyberpunk is not what I think it is and how easy it is not to be interested in that snippet of a plot I provided and still care about cyberpunk. Don't bother, it was just a bad joke. Anyway, Rise of the Dragon had a fantastic cinematic feel, gorgeous pixel art and a mature, gritty storyline. It also featured a real-time clock where being in the right place and the right time was crucial. It was a dark atmospheric gem that really pulled you into its world if you only let it. Last but not least, the absolutely wild Time Commando. You're an agent from the future who gets trapped in a historical simulation vortex created by the computer virus. Like I said, wild. So, you have to fight your way through 9 different historical eras, from prehistoric times and ancient Rome, through Wild West, all the way to the far-off future. And all to stop the virus. So, why was Time Commando so much fun? The sheer variety was its greatest strength. Each level had an era-appropriate weapons and enemies, making every stage feel fresh and new. It was a bonkers, out-of-this-world action-packed trip through time that was just pure fun. So, what do you think, guys? Did any of these were your faves and you're surprised to learn that they may have not been the biggest hits on release? Or maybe a game you were thinking of was not in the video at all? Let me know in the comments below. If you liked the video, hit that like, sub and bell icon below, it helps more than you know. Thanks a lot for watching, take care of yourself and I'll talk to you soon.